So Terrance, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate you taking the time out to speak today. Um,
Yeah.
your page, Terrance Carter Uplifts. That when I saw that, I knew I need to speak to this guy. I need to reach out and see what his message is about, man. So I needed to see the face behind the brand and the message. So thank you for coming on. So I just wanted to start off by just you introducing yourself and how you actually started your page and sort of what made you start your page.
Well, I'm a two-time published author, and I've been expressing myself and just being open with the world since I was like around 15. But even before that, I've always been social. I've always been uplifting, I would say to myself. So that's kind of what got me started. It was already in my identity, in my, in my blood to kind of just be out there, uplift the people around me. And so that's what kind of started Terrance Carter Uplifts. It was natural. I knew I had to find something that everybody could look at and kind of like relate to, or or I knew that it had to relate to me, and I had to stand for that message. And I felt that it was the perfect name that stood right next to who I am and what I do. So Terrance Carter Uplifts. That's how it was birthed.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. The name definitely says a lot. You can tell straight away when you're reading the name what it's going to be about. So,
Mm.
yeah, I just wonder, like, when was it that you thought this is the message that I have? This is the message that's for me to share. Like, was there an event? Was it did someone say something to you? I mean, do you remember how it came about?
Yeah, so I was in high school in a club called Movement B, and this was a club for young, brave entrepreneurs, and it just taught them to identify with who they truly are and express themselves. So my mentor told all of the teenagers inside the poetry club or group Movement B, find an adjective about who you are, or find an adjective that describes who you are, and then in the club that's how we're going to identify you as. So some people had like, I'm kind, or I'm strong or mighty or something like that, and I chose uplifting. And ever since then I've always like held that to me, like, what is something that describes you? And I don't know, I could have said so many other words, but I picked uplifting and I just stuck with it, and I've been running with it ever since. And that's how I identify myself in the world. I want to be uplifting. I want people to see me as uplifting, so everything has to align. And it really came about in that movement be after school program.
Yeah, yeah. No, okay, no, that's interesting. So,
Yeah.
I mean, since then, it sounds like you've been pushing that message hard. And you mentioned you're a two-time published author. I saw on your
Yeah.
the link on your Instagram page. So I checked out the book. I haven't read it fully, but it was intriguing, the message that you had in there. So how did that
Yeah.
happen? How did you come up with that idea?
Well, my first book is called To the 15th Power, and I came up with that because I was a teenager. This was right around the time that Movement B came and was created at my school, but I was just surrounded by thriving young poets and people who were expressing themselves. And in my life at that time, I felt like this is a moment for me to take my talents to the next level. This is a moment where I can use my message and my passion and just put it into something. And Movement B gave me a huge platform in school so that I could do that. But all along, I've always been writing. So I just said I want to write a book because I know that literacy was something big in the States in America. And I said I want to write a book where teenagers could read this book and say, this book is interesting, or I can relate to this book,
Yeah,
or hey, I know that kid, and like this is real raw stuff that he's talking about. So to the 15 Power, just it's a book that inspires teenagers. It's full of poetry. It doesn't just inspire teenagers, but everybody any age, and it just gives them motivation to believe in themselves, believe in their dreams, and look past their current circumstances and just think about what's coming next. And the biggest thing is I wanted to inspire teenagers to dream and think outside of the box. So to the 15th power means like use your mind, use your ideas, use your intuition, and expand it to the next level. Like basically just don't think in the box. Be the person that's thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
And I always use that as like something that's dominant, like that I tell everyone, because I didn't really know that I would be a published author when I was 15 years old. I was just in English class, like when I was bored, like reading Shakespeare, like other authors or other things in class, To Kill a Mockingbird. I was like, I'm just gonna write. Like I'm going through stuff, and I feel like everybody's going through stuff. So I wanted to make that book because of that reason alone, because there were so many people in the classroom with me that were, going through things. And it was a lot of things that are going on in a teenager's life that don't get talked about. We don't have that outlet to express. And I wanted to be that person in my generation that was going to be the one to take the initiative to talk about some of those things. And in doing so, that just unlocked a whole nother door of opportunities for me. And once I saw the impact that I had on other people, um, man, it just skyrocketed. Now it wasn't fast or quick or anything like that, but when I got in front of like the classrooms or in my library or when we had little events through Movement B, prep rallies, like that was my moment. And in school, in high school, that was my moment to kind of shine. And I took it, I didn't take it for granted. I know that
Yeah.
every moment that I had, I kind of used it as an opportunity for me to share my message back then. So now it's kind of like repetitive for me. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And then I'm sorry, my second book, Poison and Magic Land, that's about love and relationships, and it kind of has the same motivation for why it was written, because in high school is when I was realizing a lot about love and relationships and the ups and downs and the certain things that don't get talked about, but the things that are really present in our generation. So I wanted to bring note and bring light to that, and basically just encourage people to love themselves first before they reach out and try to pinpoint in their relationships or certain people in the world to love them a certain way, when really it should be us loving ourselves first and having that
Yeah.
self-acceptance, having that strong sense of identity and I love who I am. And you know even though we are all objective and we could all be hurt by someone else, just having that strength. I wanted to give our generation more strength and more stability within themselves to love who they are at all times, because
Yeah.
their suicide rates are going crazy. um People turn to drugs. People, a lot can happen just by trying to experience what love is in this generation. So I wanted to kind of encourage people to have their own definition of what true love is, and have a genuine love with themselves and then with the world, rather than just trying to find like affection by somebody else. Really love who you are and what you could bring to the table, and then find that match with someone else. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
Poison and Magic Land.
Yeah, man. No, that's inspiring, especially with someone who's started to write their first book at 15. It's not normal for a 15-year-old to do that. So,
Right.
I mean, so what was it that inspired you to actually write that at that age? Was it just what was going on in your life? Is that what you shared?
Yeah, at 15, to the 15th power.
Yeah.
Well, I had a family member, and he was an author also, and he wrote a book, and he showed it to me, and I was just like, man, like, you know what? Like, I think I could do that too.
Yeah.
And when I saw my cousin do it, it was just like, I was like, if I'm gonna do something like, and I'm really good at these poems, because I was already writing. I've been writing since I was like 8 years old.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was like, if I really want to do this, like, man, let me just put myself to work. And I did. And that is what initially inspired me, because I felt like my cousin did it. Like I grew up with him. So
Yeah.
I was like, it could be done. And once I felt that it could be done, boom, I started it. And the biggest message of To the 15th Power, like I said, is don't be limited in your own mind. Like expand to the 15th power, like to the fourth power or to the third power or to the 10th power in math, the number gets bigger. I was like, use that with your mind, use that with your
Yeah,
ideas, use that with what you believe, because the moment that you start limiting yourself is when you become stagnant. So at 15, it wasn't like I was a crazy genius or anything. It was just like something simple. I saw my cousin do it and I said, you know what, like I could do it too. And
yeah,
once I said that, I learned the steps, and then I just attacked my goal. I said I want to do this, and I had a purpose, I had a vision, and I just went after it. And that's why I say I didn't know that I was going to be a published author. I was already a writer, but my goal wasn't to be a published author until the day I saw that my cousin was an author. Like he had a book, he self-published it. He was like, he had actually more than one, but once I saw that, I was like, you know what, this is something for me. That's my lane.
yeah,
I felt it, and I said, you know, I could succeed in doing that. I felt that, you know, that could be my purpose right there. And I was still young, yeah, but through the process, I grew a deeper love for it. Like it just grew even stronger, and then I found my niche. I felt like in that
yeah,
time, like I found it. Boom, like
yeah,
it was God given for sure. It was something that God blessed me with the ability to, you know, put my words together and you know be creative and
yeah,
you know just use English as a foundation. But other than that, the time that I put into it every single day, riding the bus home, being in my room while my family's watching football or basketball, just you know,
yeah,
being at school in class, supposed to be doing homework, but writing, supposed to be studying, but you know, writing my book on the computer. It's like, hey, it was. I definitely wanted it, and it was a grind, but that definitely inspired me because I saw somebody in my family do it. Then I started saying, man, I could do anything I put my mind to. And that's the purpose of to the 15 power, to encourage teenagers, adults, younger kids to feel the same way about their dream. If you have a dream, regardless of your circumstances right now, like just think outside the box and just try to follow it as hard as you can and be as dedicated as you can. And you know, it's gonna happen. That's my message.
yeah, man. Yeah, no, that's inspiring, man, and especially for people that are going through those teenage years right now. But the other thing I was going to ask you was, I saw you recently on Instagram. I think it was Instagram Live. You did a talk on stage.
Yeah.
Was that a
Uh,
college?
yes. Yeah. At Grand Canyon University. Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
How was that? So how did you decide to do that, and how was that feeling? If it was that the first one you did as well?
Are you talking about the one that was like yesterday or like 2 days ago or like a couple weeks ago?
Oh, I think this was a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that was the Africa Miss America pageant or
Okay.
Miss Africa Arizona pageant, excuse me. And they asked me, a couple of my friends asked me if I wanted to do my thing. Basically, do you want to speak there? And I said, of course. And yeah, so that was my first time that I actually spoke in front of. Uh, it wasn't my first time, but it was a grand opportunity for
Yeah.
me to do it at a pageant at an event like that. That was one of my first times. Yeah, so um, man, I was ready for it. I've done performances before, but that specific one, it felt a little bit different. It was a lot more people, but it was something that I've been praying for. Like, you know, this is what I want to do. Get into the realm of motivational speaking and just being in front of people and giving a message to inspire them. So, man, that was lovely. That was something that I've been dreaming of in my head. Like, I want to
Yeah.
be on the stage in front of people. Just, you know, I want to do that. And even though I've done it before in like, you know, open mics and you know, other small events. Like that was an event at my school, at my university that I attend, and you know that one felt great because I got to see in my mind like all this that you've been wishing for and working for, and, you know, writing for and hustling for it. It connected to me like just keep going. You're on the right path. Sometimes in life, like it may not happen as fast as you wanted to, so you start to think like this isn't for me, or
Yeah.
maybe I should do something different. But it's all in the process, you know what I mean? And that's what that show or that pageant, that event reminded me that just keep going. Like you have to, for one, you have to experience like what isn't good in order to endure what is good. You know, you're not
Yeah,
going to just jump into something and be 100% great or 100% perfect. And that's something that I didn't want to understand, or didn't really want to accept in the beginning. Like it's a bittersweet taste when you feel like this isn't what I wanted, you know, but you just keep yearning for it and keep going towards where you want to go. And eventually it's like you just spoke at a university,
yeah,
and that's something that I have to, you know, sit back and be like, yo, out of all the people that go to this school, it was you that got up there. And that's something that kind of like keeps me sane, calms me down, and says, you know what, like if I did that, then I could do even better or even
yeah,
bigger. And that just motivates me to, you know, get back and get into something else, try to get another gig, you know, keep putting myself out there, put another video out there,
yeah, yeah,
because I know that, you know, some days it seems like it's little, but it's really big. Like you said, like that's inspiring. You know, that motivates me. Sometimes on the other end, you don't see it, but that has to be your focus, because when you say it to me and when others say it, you know, that's what put the smiles on my face and
yeah,
makes me say, you know, okay, I'll keep going. You know,
yeah,
that's it. Because that's the most rewarding feeling, knowing that you're impacting and uplifting, or me knowing that I'm impacting, uplifting, and making a difference in someone's life. Uh, man, that's the greatest reward for doing those shows and doing those events.
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. I can hear it in your voice already, and as you're talking about it.
Yeah, it's
But
my passion, bro. You can't fake that. You know, it's
yeah,
that's 100% real.
exactly. No, exactly. Um, but yeah, no, seeing you, I didn't see the most recent one, but the one that you did a few weeks ago that we spoke about, seeing that,
Mm,
I was watching it as you were doing it, and you presented yourself really well. So that was inspiring to see someone that young on stage in front of that many people. So, what was it that was going through your mind at the time? I mean, like for other people who might want to speak, or who feel, this is something that I want to do, or it's my purpose, but I don't know how to come across the opportunity, or if I have got an opportunity, I feel they feel like they're standing on the edge, but they're not able to leap, if you know what I mean. What would you tell them? Because you've obviously leapt, you've taken that opportunity, you've done it now.
man. See, this is crazy. I had my whole speech together, right? I had my whole speech, and I thought like, how can I make this better? How can I make this better? And I told myself, I'm gonna say this right before I get into my speech. And I said, um, you know, my name is Terrance Carter, and I want to be remembered for my purpose. I want to be remembered for my legacy. I want to be remembered for the things that I left behind. Saying that was like an affirmation to me before I even started doing my poems, before I started doing my speech. I said, I want to be remembered for my legacy, for my purpose, and the things that I left behind. And that was what kind of directed me to just flourish, just go, just bloom. Because I told myself, you know, what are you doing this for? And another thing in my speech, I told the people, before I die, you know, I want to be remembered for my legacy, my purpose, and the things that I left behind. Not just my name, Terrance Carter. That's one of the things that I expanded on. I don't want to just be remembered for Terrance. You know, I want to be remembered for everything, my whole everything that I gave, and that right there just set in stone. And for somebody who would want to be a motivational speaker or an author or whatever you want to be
Yeah,
in life, I would just encourage you to really ask yourself, you know, what are you doing it for, and what's your purpose? They always say, you know, find your why or know your why, and that's super important because it's bigger. Like for speaking, it's bigger than me. It's not just for me to be, you know, rich or famous or like get to that next level in my life. Like that's just the perks or additional. But the
yeah,
real reason is because I've suffered a lot. At 7 years old, my father passed away. My brother passed away. My mother was on drugs for a period of time in my life. I lost so many people in my family. I've been through so many mental and physical setbacks that it took me all of those things to go through to actually be at this point in my life where I say, okay, like I'm not just doing this for me. I'm doing this because I know that there's another person out there that life is hitting them hard right now, and I know that with my gifts and with my talents and with my passion, that I could use everything that I have to give back to serve them and to uplift them. And at the end of the day, at the core of everything, it could be for fun. It could be, you're trying to make money, or you're trying to do all these other things. But the main thing is like, I want to serve other people. I want to walk outside or to walk, to a certain event one day, and I want those people that I meet to remember me. Like if I go serve the homeless, or to go talk to people who are in the hospital, or just anything that you could think, like a random act of kindness, or just helping people on the street, or family members. Like I want them to remember me on a deeper level. Like you really connected with my soul, you know what I mean? Or like you connected with something inside of me. You sparked the flame inside of me that makes me walk away from you a different person. Somebody that's uplifted by my message. Like that's my main purpose. It's not
Yeah.
anything else. Like that's my number one goal. And when I said, I want to be remembered for my purpose, my legacy, the things that I leave behind, I feel that that's just my affirmation. It doesn't have to be yours. Like you can create your own, but
Yeah.
whatever, reason, whatever the why is behind what you're doing, let that drive you. Let nothing else drive you, because everything else will fall in line. But just make sure that, your why is dominant and it really means something to you,
Yeah.
because that's when it gets hard and when it gets tough, and then when you're like, I don't really, I got to do all this business stuff and all that stuff. It'll make you feel like, man, like this is harder than I thought, or this isn't the way. But everything in life is difficult. Like it may look easy, it may look glamorous or whatever, but if you want something in life, you're gonna have to go through all of those steps, and you're gonna have to learn new things. You're gonna have to, fail at so many things in order to be good. And that's the thing that people don't want to do. But trust me, when you're able to do that because you're thinking about the people that you're going to uplift in the end, that's what makes it all worth it. And trust me, it's worth it. Like it got me to get on this call, it got me to get on previous stages, and it's only going to take me further. And I know that, I believe that, and I hope that everyone listening, you could take note to that too. Do it for the why. Do it for your why, because if you don't have that little foundation right there, it's going to be like you're just shooting to shoot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when you have a reason that you're shooting, you'll stay in the gym longer. You'll stay in in that concentrated mindset a little bit longer. Or when it feels like you want to give up, you won't be so quick to give up because you understand how much it means to you. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, I resonate with that. So I always say, like, when you're driving a car, you don't come outside, get into your car and just drive aimlessly. You know where you're going when you jump in the
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
So it's the same way when you wake up every day. What are you trying to accomplish that day?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you trying to go? More broadly speaking, where are you trying to go in life? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's, if you decide that, then it's going to dictate your daily actions, your daily decisions, the friends
Yeah.
you make, the people you go to see, the people you spend your time with, the books that you read, how you spend your money, most importantly.
Yeah.
So all of those things fall into place when you know what the end destination or the end goal or the end vision is, almost. So it seems like you've figured that out for yourself, and so you know where you're going. Not a lot of people in this day and age who know um, where they're going.
Yeah.
They're just doing things aimlessly, and so
Mm.
an affirmation that I say to myself is that I am in vibrational alignment with my purpose, because
Oh yeah.
everything that you do, you have to be in the right vibration for it. Like, when
Mm-hmm.
you're listening to the radio, there are multiple radio stations going on at the same time, but you can't listen to all of them. You can only tune in
No,
one and pay attention to
on
what's
one.
going on that station. So if you're not tuned in properly, you're not gonna accomplish or see the things that are on that radio station or in that frequency for you in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I try and say to myself, so that I feel like I'm always making the right decisions and heading in the right direction.
I like that. I might
Yeah,
use that.
yeah. Go for
I
it.
might use
Use
that
it.
in a
If it
post.
helps you, then go for it.
Yeah.
um, but the other thing I was going to ask you was, what are you feeding your mind? You know, for you to stay the way that you are in terms of being motivated or inspired daily. Are you?
Hold on one sec. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you.
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry about that. You gotta
Yeah.
fast forward that part. But here are just some of the things that I got. So I got The Obstacle is the Way
Okay. Yeah.
by Ryan Holiday. This is one of my favorites. I got The Seven Habits
Yeah.
of Highly Effective People. So I got that. I got right here, excuse me, How to Win Friends and Influence
Classic.
People in the Digital Age.
Yeah.
And also I have Talk Like Ted.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got these four right here. These are just my main four that I just dive into when I get the chance to. And man, the biggest thing is, like I say, uh, what are you feeding your mind? Like the plant reveals what's in the seed, and it's always going to. So you have to put certain things into your mind that are gonna, sharpen you and encourage you to basically grow, because that's what you read for, that's what you watch your documentaries for, not just to watch them and to be stagnant, but to take something from them. And basically, like I said, if the plant reveals what's in the seed, then you're planting everything inside of your mind to grow and to change, right?
Yeah.
So all of these things are just inspiring me to get to a certain level, or to make certain changes in my life, or to critically think and reflect on my personal self and say, okay, well, how can I, use this message, or use this line, or use this chapter to um, influence me? How can I use this as an influence, or a stepping stool to get to where I'm trying to go? And when I feed my mind, is a lot of stuff. Like, I'm not just a poet. I'm not just a writer. Um, I'm not just a motivational speaker. Like, I'm much more. I have so many talents, and what I try to do is just watch certain artists, celebrities, or and innovators, or whoever, authors, or whatever it may be, and I just try to take little nuggets from them and use that as energy, use that as fuel to better myself. I feel like that's the key. The more that you know, the more that you'll see in life. So I just try to put so much inside of my mind that's going to help me see the vision and the lane a little bit more clear of where I'm trying to go. So if you have like a talent, or if you have a dream that you're trying to, get into a certain field, like I just encourage you to do as much watching and reading, or just observing that craft, and eventually you'll start to pick those things up, and it'll all pay off once you put the time into learning something and understanding it, and actually applying it into your daily life. Then that's what's going to separate you from the person that's just like, oh, okay, like, I want to do this, I want to try this, but they don't put the energy to learn how.
Yeah.
People say that they want to grow, they want to change, but they don't put the energy and time into it to to actually do what it takes to actually create that change in their lives. So just little by little, or a lot by lot, however you want to dive at it,
Yeah.
but use the information that's out there for you to grow. If not, then that's when you see that struggle, that's when you see nothing's really happening, that stagnancy, that comfort zone. And just do as many things outside of your comfort zone, and that's when you start seeing growth. If not, things are going to look the same, and things will never change. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Nah,
mhm.
I'm the same way. I've got like a big stack of books that I always love diving into. I like reading different genres as well, just to keep my mind fresh, and keep the connections in my mind happening all the time, because you have to read different things and expose yourself to different ideas all the time
Yeah.
to make the right connection. So
The worst thing that the I'm sorry,
no, no,
man. The
go ahead.
worst thing that people want to do is stay so, like, here's your comfort zone, right? And people want to do everything in their comfort zone. And like you just said, you have to have a little bit of it outside. Not, you don't have to change everything, but you don't want to be so comfortable that you're only learning the things that you're comfortable, in absorbing or in learning. You always want to at least take one small step outside of your comfort zone so that you can learn something else on top of, taking that leap, or, just shifting your mind in that direction. If, like I said, if not, then things won't ever change. You can't, you want to, do things inside of your zone, inside of, where you feel comfortable. Yeah, but also stepping outside of your comfort zone to learn something new, to learn something that you haven't touched on, or, to be educated on something else. That's never a bad thing. That's one thing that I would tell anybody and everybody. It's never a bad thing to learn something that you've never learned. Like, for most of my people that I talk to are teenagers or in college, so in their 20s. It's like, you have so much life ahead of you. You don't know everything right now, so it's not a bad thing for you to get out of your comfort zone and try to learn something different, because
Yeah.
maybe a year later, or maybe 2 years, or maybe 10 years later, what you read today will impact you. That line will stick with you. You'll be like, man, I really learned that in college. And after college, you could be like, that I could use that in my life. Or I remember learning this lesson in elementary or in middle or in high school. And it helps how to maneuver through that situation or anything like that. Once, as you grow, when you're mature, and a lot of educating and reading and observing, that just leads to a lot of maturity. And in this world, they say that there's a lack of it, but I feel that that's just because there's a lack of self-education outside of our comfort zones. And if we stick to aiming to better ourselves outside of our comfort, then we'll see a lot of change. And that's for, in a group, as a generation, and as individuals. That's something that I feel that people could benefit from, just hearing that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's that old saying. I can't remember who it was. I think it was what's his name now? I'm forgetting his name. Um, anyway, he said he said formal education will make you a living, and self education will.
Oh, I feel it. That's Jim Ron.
That's it, Jim Rohn. Yeah,
Yeah, Jim
but
Ron. Yeah.
yeah. So
See, I only knew that quote because of just watching motivational videos on
yeah,
YouTube, and I heard him say it. So I'm
yeah.
like,
I had his
it
image in my
takes,
head, but I forgot the name. But yeah,
yeah, Jim
um,
Ron. Yeah.
yeah. I never understood that until recently. Because I
Mm,
thought self education. What's the difference? You've been educated either way, but then there's a big difference because
yeah.
the self education is you diving into the topics and resources that you may not have been shown in formal education. There's a lot of
Yeah.
things schools don't teach you.
There's
A
a
lot of
whole
life
lot.
skills that you're left to figure out for yourself.
Hmm.
So that's where books, resources, and all the resources we get online now as well. A lot of free content on YouTube, and articles being written. So there's ways to connect with loads of good people. But as we said before, it's only if you're ready to see it. If
Yeah.
you're ready to
Yeah.
open up to it and be in the right vibration for it. So yeah, man, seems like you definitely are. So I was gonna say, where are you heading next? Have you got any ideas in terms of where you want to go and what you want to do next?
The only thing that I could do, and the only place I can go from right now, is up, because my mental is set on uplifting, and regardless of my situation, I tell myself I have to be a living testimony of uplift. And I truly believe that in time it'll all happen how it's supposed to happen. And it's a new year coming up, a new shift in energy. So many learned lessons in 2017 and the previous years, that I can only go up, because my mental, my mindset about everything is, you never really lose. You never take a L. You just have more lessons to learn from. And with that type of mentality of optimism, and greater things will come, I feel that I can only go up. um, I see myself doing more events. I see myself in high school. I see myself getting into panels and joining discussions at universities. I see myself on YouTube, doing things like this with others,
Yeah.
like from the other side, interviewing others, or still others
Yeah.
interviewing me. I see Uplift as a brand, a much bigger brand, doing things on a larger scale with the same purpose to serve others, to
Yeah.
encourage them to reach their maximum potential in every way. And lastly, I just see myself always giving credit to God in everything that I do, and being happy and being successful. I don't I for me, I know what that feels like, or I know what that ideally looks like.
Yeah.
But as the main goal, I want to be happy. I want to be successful, and I don't mean like rich or having all the money, or looking all fancy and stuff like that. I mean like, rich in my mind, rich in my spirit, rich in the way that I walk, the way that I talk, and a lot of improvement, I could just say, because it may sound like, wow, you got 2 published books, and you're so motivational and things like that. But even an honest man is going to tell you, I'm not perfect. I'm nowhere near perfect, and
Yeah.
have so many flaws, imperfections, whatever you want to call, just things that I need to work on. And that's the maturity in me that knows that. And 2018 is the year of me tackling that, having no fear, and just giving life my everything. And I feel that, like I said, I can only go up from there. So be
Yeah.
tuned, and stay on the lookout. My third book will be coming in 2018. So with that will come, hopefully, okay, I'll give you one thing that I could say: be looking forward to a book tour. So the third
Okay.
book,
Love
going around, like I said, those universities, those high schools, even elementary schools, middle schools.
it. Yeah.
Be looking forward to a book tour sometime soon in 2018,
I love it, man. I love the energy
because we got
behind
to
it.
go for that.
I love where you're going. As you said, you can only go up,
Yeah.
and I know you will. I could tell with the passion and the energy you've got, man. Yeah. So the last question I wanted to ask you was, what legacy do you want to leave behind? Like, what is it for you? What you think Terrance? It's time for Terrance Carter to leave, and move on to the next thing. And I'm happy that I've left this behind. What is that for you?
I would say that I would be happy that I left my authentic self behind, because in this world there's a lot of people that, or it's just like a trend, or it became normal to put out to the world like who we aren't really. And I want to, in my books and my performances and my music and my speeches, I want to always provide something real. That's my number one. I want to be remembered for my purpose, my legacy. But that is like looped and tied into rawness and authenticity, because um if it wasn't for me actually being the person that I really am, um I don't think that it would lead me to any type of success. I don't feel that it will have a great impact on people. I don't feel that it will serve its purpose to really change and encourage people to do better for themselves. So when I die, like I said, what I want to leave behind my rawness, like everybody else that came before me, like a Tupac, or like a Kendrick Lamar, or like a Martin Luther King, or Rosa Parks, or just anybody. There's so
Yeah.
many names that I can name, but people who left, like, gave it their all. People who they leave behind: Bob Marley, Oprah, or the names go on forever. But the people who give it their all, and they say, this is what I'm doing. This is me. This is my life story, and I'm gonna give this to the world exactly how it is, and I can't feel uncomfortable about it. I want to be very comfortable about, expressing myself and giving myself to the world. But at the end of the day, that's what I want to be most proudly for: giving back something real to others, not for me, not for something that's glorifiable to me, but just because I know that when I do that and I am authentic, that I can make the greatest impact.
Yeah.
So that's my number one.
Yeah.
And also, if I had a number two, it would be to just give back to the community, give back to the kids, because I didn't say much about it, but one of my biggest, purposes and something that drives me is that, the things that I do, younger people are looking up after me. I have so many younger siblings and relatives
Yeah.
in my family, children that I went to school with. I know that their younger brothers or younger sisters look up to me. uh, Certain people on Instagram that are younger than me just, like ask me things, and that really hits home because I remember when I was a kid, I lost my brother, I lost my dad, my mother was on drugs, and I needed people like that for me. I reached out to older people and said like, hey, like, you're a great basketball player, or you're a great football player, or you do this great, you do that. And the people that were doing good that I saw at a young age, they inspired me to be good. So my heart is really into going back to schools. Like, that's what I say, what do you want to do, where do you see yourself? It's in school, because there's so many people in school that they got so many things going on in their life, whether it's elementary all the way to high school, all the way to college. There's people that have untold perspectives that they're not saying much as they want to say, and I want to be the person that reaches them. So
Yeah.
what I want to be remembered for, the legacy, it's going to definitely align with the school system. It's going to align with young the people that are coming up after me, because when I die, and we all gonna die, when I die, I want my messages to rub off on them. I want them to use my quotes. I want them
Yeah.
to look at me and say, Terrance Carter, man, I watched that one video about him and that changed my life. And if I could get that, bro, that's what I want. Because when I was younger, there were so many motivational video. Even now, listening to Eric Thomas, or listening to Les Brown, or certain motivational Jim Ron, it's
Yeah.
like, man, when I watched that, bro, I was feeling so down on myself. That changed my life. That shifted my energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I want. That's my goal. It's never nothing greater than that. Everything else, like I said, is additional. But when I could say something and understand my power in my voice and know my legacy, man, when I start speaking, that's why it sounds how it sounds. That's why it's passionate like that. Because even though I'm talking to you right now on this call, like, I'm
Yeah.
not just talking to you. There's gonna be a younger person that's watching it. That's what I'm talking to. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
and I know that before I even start speaking. So that my authenticity, being my real self, being honest, brutally honest about, my weaknesses and my strengths. And then just giving back to the ones that are coming right after me, because like I said, when I'm gone, it's their world. So
Yeah, man.
you, little person,
Yeah.
younger individual, or even older individual, elder, whoever may be watching this, my passion is to uplift you.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm here for.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. I truly am thankful that you took the time to speak, because you've
Yeah.
got a powerful message, man, and people definitely need to hear it, because as you said, you know what your legacy is, and it's not something small, it's massive, and
Yes.
I think more people need to be inspired to step into that for whatever it is for them. It's not going to be the same how it is. This is what I'm doing because this is what it is for me. This is what I feel is gonna, using your terminology, uplift others. This is,
Yeah.
for me, it's writing and speaking. That's where my passions have always lied. But it took me some time to realize that throughout school and throughout university, etc., etc. Now, my output of content needs to be through writing and speaking. So in the same way, I hope it uplifts people. And thank you so much for taking the time
Yeah.
to speak, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you too, man. Thank you so much. I'm just glad, man. I know we've been trying to do this for some
Yeah.
time now, but I'm so happy, man. The results, I already know they're going to be crazy. Thank you for all the people that are watching, and it's nothing but love and peace all the way from California, and all the way to London. I just want to say, anywhere in between, there's so much love.
Yeah, man.
Peace.
All right. Thank you,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah.